my lovelies, and welcome to my booktube channel, The Sassy Library Fox. My name is V, and today we're using the chance to go for another tag video. It's been ages. I last did one of those, but I decided why not go for a short one. And yeah, it's been a while I got tagged for this, but I decided I would go for it. I've got my sheets, I've got my coffee at the ready taking a sip to brace myself for that tag. And the tag is called The Faces of Horror tag, and I got tagged for this by Jolene at Bookworm Adventure Girl. I think about 2 years ago. It must have been in April 2022. Yes, I'm slow with getting to my tags, but I get to them eventually. And well, what else do I have to add? Yes, it was created by Plugged by Visions. I will make sure to tag them both down below so that you can check out their channels and also watch their videos of this tag. I think that's a very interesting tag because the Faces of Horror can be very different, and I kind of like that there was given room to different genres inside of the horror genre, if you get what I mean. Anyway, let's do this. Let's get to the first question. And the first question is a horror story that scared or disturbed you. And I think I might go with Wilder Girls by Rory Powers here, because this is a story about three girls, Hattie, Bayard and Reese, I think, are those three girls. And they are on a school, and this school is on an island, and one day there breaks out an illness named the Tox, and the entire island is affected by it. And it's basically body horror because the Tox changes the body of the girls and kind of, well, how to say it causes them to evolve into whatever is inside of them. So I think body horror in general is very creepy because it's something you don't have control over, and the way the body horror was described in this one was really well, let's say disturbing sometimes. So yeah, it is a little bit scary to read about body modifications you can't influence and that just happen to you. I'm reminded of Alien here, and I still think that all the Alien movies are so creepy. Anyway, let's get back to the plot. Well, one day, one of them, Bayard, disappears after she had another flare of that Tox illness and is taken away for research into a laboratory or something like that. And the girls, especially Hattie, who is best friends with Bayard, and Reese, are trying to get her back and to save her. Yeah, so they go on a journey on the island, and that is really interesting. I liked that book. I really enjoyed it up until the ending. The ending wasn't my kind of cup of tea. I think I already spoke about it when I read the book and did my monthly wrap up. So if you want to know more about that, you might have to check it out. But so much for that one. I so rarely read horror, but when I do, I always end up enjoying it. So I don't know, I probably should read more horror books. Okay, question number 2. A horror story that depressed you or made you cry. And well, the best horror book I can think of that really made me bawl my eyes out was The Ghost of Baxton Manor by Jonathan L. Ferrara. And that book, well, I went through the emotions with that one. It starts so easily because it's basically a ghost story. I mean, there is that ghost, and Rupert Paxton has died about a century ago, and he's haunting his house, and he doesn't know why he died, which was the reason for him staying as a ghost, but he has to find out in order to move on to the afterlife or to heaven, I don't know. And one day there moves in another boy named Aaron with his family, and Aaron can see him, and those two kind of get to know each other, fall in love, and solve the mystery why Rupert died. And this book, it was so sweet and nice and sometimes really scary. A couple of scenes in the book were really creepy. But also I cried so much at the ending. I cried so much, you have no idea. It's one of those books that really stayed with me, even years after I finished reading it. I can really highly recommend reading that, maybe even for Rainbow Week when I host it this year. It's a great ghost story. I always recommend that one. Okay, let's head to question number 3. And question number 3 is a horror story that made you laugh. Well, that was a tough one. Because horror stories that make you laugh are pretty rare, I think. But a book I recently read and which definitely achieved that was Kick at the Darkness by Kira Andrews. I wrote it down here because it's a zombie horror book, and there is Parker. Parker is at college and he thought he could half-ass an assignment, but then the TA who rates the assignment gives him a C-, and that totally messes with all his grades, and he basically storms into his office and complains, but Adam has none of it and tells him that he should have studied more if he wanted to have a better grade. And of course Parker is really angry at Adam, and he's busy being angry at Adam for a long time, the entire day. He totally misses that there was an outbreak of a strange virus that affects people when it is on the news. And it's so funny because when he sees him a second time, when he's on his way to class, he wants to confront him. All hell breaks loose and the apocalypse starts and people turn into zombies around them. So Adam basically saves Parker and they go on a journey through America to get to Parker's parents. And of course they get closer as well, and they were just so cute and adorable. I loved their conversations and the way Parker thought. Some things he said were really funny and extremely relatable. So that was a book that was funny despite being horror and playing during a zombie apocalypse. And it was also a spicy one, so be warned if you go into that one. It gets pretty spicy later on in the book. But I love that one. Yeah, it was, I still have to smile about it when I think about it. So yeah, it definitely was a fun horror book, and a funny one at that. Okay, question number 4, a horror story that made you angry. And I think I will go with Ninth House by Lee Bardugo here, because Alex Stern was always able to see ghosts, and it kind of drove her into addiction and away from her family. she made a lot of horrible experiences, and the last experience basically ends her in hospital as one of the only people who survived a massacre of some sorts. And yeah, the book made me angry because of Alex, and no one believed her. She really tried to tell people, but no one believed her that she can see ghosts. No one paid any attention to her and her feelings. No one gave her a chance to explain what's going on with her and why she is the way she is. And yeah, at times this made me really angry. So I think you could go, or we could go with that answer here. I know it's a little bit on the let's not look at it too closely side, but yeah, I think Ninth House qualifies as horror. There happen a lot of spooky and creepy and really disturbing things in that book. So I count it as horror. Okay, question number 5. A horror story that is important to you. And I think I will go with Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White here, because this is clearly horror. I mean, we're talking about the apocalypse and people that get a disease and die or turn into some sort of avenging angels. So it's dystopian, it plays in the future, it's about people quite literally falling apart when they get the disease. Yeah, body horror once again. But it also has a strong religious theme, because Banshee's mother is the leader of the sect that basically brought about the apocalypse and killed so many people. And Banshee is trans, Musk. So yeah, I already spoke about this book in length when I did my review about it and when I had my monthly wrap up. But it still stands. This book will always hold a special place in my heart, because Banshee as a character was extremely relatable. I loved all the LGBTQIA plus representation. I loved the queer rage. I loved that there was a religious aspect in the book, and that showed how religion can be really toxic and horrible for people of the LGBTQIA plus community. Not always. There are a lot of accepting people that are religious, but sometimes, especially with cults and things like that, it can be heavy to be a part of that. Or, well, I think even if you're Roman Catholic, like I used to be, it's something that's frowned upon. Being a part of the LGBTQ community is frowned upon and still not accepted. Yeah. Anyway, this book holds a really special place in my heart, and yeah, it's an important horror story for me. It definitely has a lot of horror elements in it as well. Okay, last question. Question number 6. A non-horror story that you consider horror. I had to think really hard and long about that one, because a horror story that isn't horror, or that isn't counted as horror but is actually horror, is really hard to find. But I think if I would have to go with an answer here, I probably would say The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, because the entire series has a couple of horror elements in it, and there are some really disturbing and creepy scenes sometimes. So it definitely has horror elements, but it's packed as young adult, and and fantasy and paranormal. So yeah, I think the Raven Cycle, throughout all the 4 books and throughout the entire series, has a couple of scenes that would definitely count as horror. I will go with that one. Okay, so those were the 6 questions I finally answered after 2 years. It only took me 2 years. I'm good, right? Let's keep it up, fighting. let's do more tags in the future. But I would love to hear what you would put into all of those categories. I think horror is an interesting genre because it sometimes explores really deep topics in a horror kind of way, if you get what I mean. So I would love to hear your answers to those questions. And as for the tags, I haven't thought about who to tag for this, but I will kind of go into myself and think about people that love horror and that I can tag for this one. The only 2 people that immediately come to mind that read in the genre of horror are Cham and M. I'm definitely going to tag those 2. I don't know if they already did the tag, but I will tag them and see if they already did it or not. And as for the rest, I will think about it. I will think about who to tag for this horror tag. Stay tuned, you might get a notification that you were tagged for that one. Okay, anyway, I think that's it. We are already at the ending of this video and there's nothing left to say except of take care, stay healthy and safe, and see you around the next time. Bye!